The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark metal moon. Commander Veltar stood on the bridge of the Void Piercer and looked down at the small human planet below. The world they called New Bizon looked peaceful from this distance. Green and blue colors swirled together in pretty patterns. But Veltar knew looks could be wrong. "Commander," said his officer, "we have found the location of their secret weapon." Veltar turned his 4 eyes toward the screen. He expected to see a big gun, or maybe a hidden fleet of ships. Instead, he saw a simple white building with a red roof. It looked like nothing special. "That is it?" Veltar asked. His voice sounded confused. "Where are the weapons? Where are the soldiers?" "Our spies say the weapon is inside that building, sir." "It is." One human, a male called Park Hyun Woo. Veltar made a sound that was like laughter, but colder. "One human?" "The Great Earth Federation thinks one small creature can stop our entire fleet." Down on the planet, Kim So-ria sat next to a bed where Park Hyun Woo was sleeping. She watched the numbers on her screens very carefully. His heart beat slowly and steadily. His brain showed strange wave patterns that she had never seen before. Hyun Woo had been sleeping for 3 days now. Not normal sleep, but the deep kind of sleep where dreams became very real. So Ra had helped him reach this state many times before, but this time felt different. This time, the whole planet depended on what he could do in his dreams. "How is he doing?" asked Dr. Bae Young Ho as he walked into the room. The old scientist looked worried. His gray hair was messy from running his hands through it too much. "His brain activity is off the charts," Sora said quietly. "I have never seen patterns like this. It is like his mind is reaching out to touch something very far away." Dr. Bae looked at the sleeping man. Hyun Woo was not big or strong. He was thin and wore simple clothes. His black hair fell across his face as he breathed slowly. He looked like any other person you might see walking down the street. "Hard to believe he might save us all," Dr. Bae said. So-ra nodded. She had worked with Hyun Woo for 2 years now. She knew he was special, but even she did not fully understand what he could do. Hyun Woo could dream in ways that other people could not. In his dreams, he could solve math problems that no computer could handle. He could see patterns in numbers that made no sense to anyone else. But lately, his dreams had been doing more than just solving problems. They had been changing things in the real world. Up in space, Veltar was getting reports from his other ships. "Sir, all human defense ships are in position around the planet. They have about 50 vessels." 50? Veltar laughed for real this time. "We have 500 ships. Their weapons cannot even scratch our armor. Begin the attack." The Calithrin fleet moved forward like a wall of death. Their ships were black and covered in sharp edges. Each one was 5 times bigger than the largest human ship. Their weapons could turn whole cities into glass. In the research building, the ground began to shake. Sora grabbed onto Hyun Woo's bed to keep from falling. Red lights started flashing on the walls. A voice from the speaker said, "All people must go to safe areas now. This is not a test. Should we wake him up?" Sora asked Dr. Bae. "No," the old man said. "If we wake him now, we lose our only chance. Keep him sleeping, no matter what happens." Sora looked at the man on the bed. Hyun Woo's face was calm, even as the building shook around them. In his dreams, he was somewhere else completely. Hyun Woo walked through a place that was not quite real. The ground under his feet felt solid, but it was made of light that changed colors as he stepped. The air around him was full of numbers and shapes that danced like living things. He had discovered this place by accident 2 years ago. At first, it scared him, but then he learned that in this place, his thoughts could become real. If he dreamed of a door, a door would appear. If he needed to understand something difficult, the answer would come to him like a whisper in his ear. No. As the alien ships attacked his world, Hyun-woo felt anger for the first time in this dream place. The numbers around him turned red. The shapes became sharp and angry. "They want to hurt my people," he said out loud. His voice echoed in the dream space. "They think we are weak because we are small." The dream place listened to him. It always listened. Captain Han Jae-sung stood on the bridge of his ship, the Incheon's pride. Through the big window, he could see the enemy fleet coming toward them. Each alien ship looked like it could eat his vessel for breakfast. "Sir," said his weapons officer, "our missiles are ready, but I do not think they will do much damage." "Fire everything we have," Han Jae-sung said. "Make them work for their victory." The human ships opened fire first. Bright lights streaked across space toward the alien fleet. But the missiles bounced off the enemy shields like rain hitting a window. "Their turn," someone said quietly. Alien ships fired back. Red beams of energy reached out toward the human vessels. Captain Han closed his eyes and waited for the end. But the end did not come. Han opened his eyes and saw something impossible. The alien beams were bending away from his ship. They curved through space like they were going around something that was not there. "What is happening?" his second officer asked. Before anyone could answer, more impossible things began to happen. The engine room called to say their damaged power core was working better than ever. The weapons officer reported that their simple missiles were somehow moving faster and hitting harder. On the alien flagship, Veltar was getting very angry. "Why are our weapons not working?" "Sir, I do not understand it," his science officer said. "Our targeting computers say we are hitting their ships, but no damage is being done. It is like the energy is just disappearing. And our ships? Why are they moving so slowly?" "The engines are working fine, sir. But it feels like we are flying through thick liquid instead of space." Veltar looked at the battle and felt confused for the first time in his long military career. His perfect machines were acting like broken toys. His powerful weapons were as useful as throwing rocks down on the planet. Hyun-woo smiled in his sleep. In his dream, he was painting the universe with his thoughts. He painted shields around the human ships. He painted fear into the hearts of the alien commanders. He painted hope into the souls of his people. So Ra watched the screens and saw Hyun-woo's brain activity reach levels that should have been impossible. "What are you doing in there?" she whispered. Outside, the battle for humanity's future had just begun. But in the world of dreams, Park Hyun-woo was already fighting back. The alien plasma beams kept firing, but they could not touch the human ships. Captain Han Jae-sung watched in amazement as red death rays bent around his vessel like water flowing around a rock. His crew stood at their stations with their mouths open. "Sir," called his engineer from below, "you need to see this. Our engines are doing things they were never built to do." Han left the bridge and went down to the engine room. What he saw there made no sense. The old fusion reactor that barely worked yesterday was now glowing with bright blue light. The metal walls around it were covered in patterns that looked like writing, but in no language he knew. "When did this happen?" Han asked. "About 10 minutes ago," the engineer said. "Right when that first alien beam missed us. The whole engine just changed. We are getting 3 times more power than before, and I do not know why." Deep in his dream, Hyun-woo was not alone anymore. An old man in a military uniform sat next to him on a bench made of starlight. The man's face was kind but tired, like someone who had seen too much war. "You are Lee Dong-min," Hyun-woo said. He knew this even though they had never met. In dreams, knowing came easy. "I am," the old soldier said. "I fought in a different war. a long time ago. I died protecting people, just like you are doing now. I am not a soldier, Haiyan-Wu said. I am just a scientist who learned to dream in strange ways. Li Dongmin smiled. The best weapons are not always guns and bombs, young one. Sometimes, the strongest weapon is refusing to give up hope. Around them, the dream space showed pictures of the battle above. Haiyan-Wu could see every human ship and every alien vessel. He could feel the fear of his people and the anger of the enemy. How do I fight something so big? Haiyan-Wu asked. You do not fight their strength, the old soldier said. You fight. With your strength, what makes humans special? Haiyan-Wu thought about this. We dream. We imagine things that do not exist, and then make them real. Exactly. So dream, young scientist. Dream of victory, and make it real. Admiral Crixon commanded the alien fleet from his giant ship. He was the most feared military leader in the Calithrane Empire. He had destroyed 100 worlds and never lost a single battle. But today, nothing was going as planned. Report, he said to his science officer, Velinara. Sir, our weapons are working perfectly, but they cannot hit the human ships. Our computers say the beams should be destroying them, but something is making. The energy goes somewhere else. What about our own ships? Why are they moving like wounded animals? Velinara looked at her screens with confusion. The engines are fine, sir, but space itself seems to be fighting us. It is like the universe does. Not want us to win this battle. Crixon had 4 arms and 3 hearts, and all of them were angry. The universe does not choose sides. Find out what is really happening. In the research building on New Bizin, the shaking was getting worse. Books fell from shelves. Cracks appeared in the walls, but Sora would not leave Haiyan-Wu's side. The aliens are getting closer, Dr. Bay said as he ran into the room. Our ships are holding them back somehow, but I do not know for how long. Sora looked at the screens showing Haiyan-Wu's brain. The patterns were like nothing she had ever seen. It was as if his mind was connected to everything in space around the planet. He is doing something, she said. Look at these readings. His thoughts are reaching out across millions of miles. Is that possible? Dr. Bay asked. A week ago, I would have said no. Now, I do not know what is possible anymore. Qian-Wu stood up from the bench in his dream and began to walk through the space of light and numbers. With each step, he thought about the people he wanted to protect, his sister who taught children, his friend who fixed old cars, the baker who made bread that smelled like home. As he thought about them, the dream space began to change. He saw his sister's classroom, but now the desks were control panels for starships. He saw his friend's garage, but the tools could fix anything, even broken hearts. He saw the bakery, but the bread could feed both body and soul. What if humans could be more than they are now? Haiyan-Wu asked to dream space. What if we could do impossible things when we needed to? The space around him pulsed with golden light. It liked this idea. Back in the real world, impossible things were happening everywhere. On the human ship called Morning Star, engineer Park Si-Woo was staring at his damaged weapons. They had been broken for months, but now they were not just fixed, they were better. The simple laser cannons were firing beams of pure white light that cut through alien shields like they were made of paper. How is this possible? Si-Woo asked himself. But even as he spoke, he somehow knew the answer. Someone was dreaming of better weapons, and the universe was listening. On another ship, pilot Kong Woo-jin was flying his small fighter through a field of asteroids. This should have been impossible. The rocks were too close together, and his ship was too big. But every time he needed to fit through a gap, the gap seemed to get just a little wider. Every time he needed to turn faster, his ship moved like It was dancing instead of flying. "This is not real," he said to himself. But he kept flying anyway, because real or not, it was working. The aliens were getting more confused and angry. Ship after ship reported the same problems. Their perfect machines were acting strangely. Their powerful weapons could not hit targets. That should have been easy to destroy. Commander Veltar decided to try a different approach. "All ships, focus your fire on that building on the planet. If their secret weapon is there, we will destroy it directly." 100 alien ships turned, their weapons toward the small research building where Haiyan Wu lay sleeping. Red beams of death reached down from space toward the white building with the red roof. Sora saw the energy coming and threw herself across Haiyan Wu's body. She closed her eyes and waited for the heat and light that would end everything. But again, the impossible happened. The beams hit something invisible above the building and spread out like water hitting a shield. The energy flowed away harmlessly, lighting up the sky in beautiful colors. "The building is protected," Velinara reported to Admiral Crixon. "Some kind of force field, but not like any technology we know. Impossible. Humans do not have that kind of technology." "Sir, I am beginning to think this is not about technology at all." In his dream, Haiyan Wu felt the attack on the building where his body slept. He felt Sora's love and loyalty as she tried to protect him. The feeling made him stronger. "Thank you, Sora," he whispered in the dream space. Then he turned to face the alien fleet in his imagination. He saw their ships as they really were, not just machines of war, but the fears and anger of living beings. The aliens were afraid of humans becoming too strong. They were angry because humans would not give up. "I understand you," Haiyan Wu said to the image of the alien fleet. "You are scared. But fear does not have to lead to hate. Anger does not have to lead to destruction." He began to dream of something new. Not just human victory, but understanding between the stars. He dreamed of alien fear turning into curiosity. He dreamed of human courage inspiring alien wonder. The dream space around him began to shine with silver light. This was a harder dream to make real, but Haiyan Wu was learning that the harder dreams were often the most important ones. In space, the battle was about to change in ways that no one expected. The Calithran Empire had built their war machines to be perfect. Every bolt was calculated. Every weapon was tested. Every battle plan was checked by the best military minds in the galaxy. But perfection, they were learning, had a weakness. It could not understand things that made no sense. Engineer Thick Rose stood in the weapon control room of the battleship Dark Thunder. He had designed these guns himself. They could destroy a moon with one shot. But today, they were firing it small. Human ships, and missing every time. "The targeting computer says we hit them," Thick Rose said to his assistant. "The energy readings confirm impact. But look, their ships are still there, still fighting." His assistant, a young Calithran named Rixdow, pointed at the screen. "Sir, watch this human ship called Bright Hope. Our plasma beam hits it directly. But the energy just disappears. It is like the ship is eating our fire." Thekros felt something he had never felt before in battle: doubt. His perfect machines were losing to ships held together with hope and scrap metal. In his dream, Haiyan Wu was getting bolder. The old soldier Li Dongmin had faded away, but his words remained. "Dream of what humans can become." Haiyan Wu closed his eyes in the dream space and thought about Choi Min-ho, a mechanic who worked in the spaceport on New Bizan. Min-ho fixed old ships with patient hands and a kind heart. In the real world, he was probably hiding in a bunker. Right now, scared and helpless. But in Haiyan Wu's dream, Min-ho was something more. He was standing in a workshop made of starlight, building ships from crystallized imagination. His tools were made of pure thought. His materials were the hopes and dreams of everyone who wanted to fly among the stars. Min-ho, Hyan-woo said, in the dream, build us something wonderful. The dream version of Min-ho smiled and got to work. In the real world, the real Choi Min-ho was indeed in a bunker. But suddenly he felt a strange pull. He walked to the window and looked up at the battle in the sky. Without knowing why, he began to understand things about starship engines that no human had ever known before. I need to get to the spaceport, he said to the other people in the bunker. Are you crazy? Someone asked. There is a war going on. But Min-ho was already running. He had ships to build. Yoon Hana was a teacher at the elementary school on New Bizen. She had never heard a fly in her whole life. She taught children to be kind, to share their toys, to help each other when someone fell down. War was the opposite of everything she believed in. But in Hyan-woo's dream, Hana stood on the command bridge of a ship called Laughter's Light. This ship was not built for war. It was built for joy. Its weapons fired beams of pure happiness that made enemy soldiers remember their own children. Its shields were made from the giggles of students playing at recess. Hana, Hyan-woo said in the dream, show them that peace is stronger than war. The dream teacher nodded and placed her hands on controls that felt warm like a child's hug. In reality, Hana was helping evacuate the school when she suddenly stopped. She looked up at the sky and saw something impossible. One of the human ships was glowing with soft, golden light. As she watched, several alien fighters broke away from their attack formation and just stopped shooting. The aliens in those fighters felt something they had forgotten long ago, the simple joy of being alive. Admiral Kriksen was losing his temper, which was dangerous for everyone around him. Explain to me, he said to Science. Officer Velinara, how our most powerful fleet is being defeated by a handful of primitive vessels. Velinara looked at her readings with growing amazement. Sir, I do not think we are fighting their technology anymore. We are fighting something else entirely. What do you mean? Watch this, sir. Velinara showed him a recording of a human pilot named Kang Woo-jin. His small fighter was flying through a field of space debris that should have been impossible to navigate. But every piece of metal and rock seemed to move just enough to let him pass. That pilot is not just skilled, Velinara said. The universe itself is helping him. Space is bending to make his impossible moves possible. The universe does not take sides, Kriksen growled. Sir, what if it does? What if the humans have found a way to make reality itself their ally? Before Kriksen could answer, alarms began, ringing throughout the ship. All units, we have a problem, came a voice over the speakers. Marine Squad Zeta 7 has gone missing. Kriksen felt a chill run through his 3 hearts. Missing where? We are in the middle of space. Sir, they were boarding the human research facility on the planet. They entered the building 15 minutes ago. We have lost all contact. Down on New Bizen, 12 Kellythron Marines had indeed entered the research building. They wore the best armor in the galaxy and carried weapons that could cut through steel. Their mission was simple: find the human weapon and destroy it. But the building was not cooperating. Squad leader Vexmar led his team down a hallway that had been straight when they entered. Now it curved in directions that made no sense. Doors appeared where there had been walls. Stairs led up to floors that should not exist. Vexmar to command, he spoke into his radio. We are having navigation problems. But his radio only made strange singing sounds, like children humming lullabies. One of his Marines, Colvin, pointed at a door marked Supply Closet in human writing. Sir, I looked in here 5 minutes ago. It was full of cleaning materials. Now look. Vexmar peered inside. The small closet had become a vast library filled with books that glowed with soft light. The books were writing themselves, their pages filling with stories of peace and understanding. "This is not possible," Vexmar said. But impossible or not, it was happening. In the room where Hyan Wu's body lay sleeping, So Ra heard footsteps in the hallway. She knew the alien soldiers were coming, but strangely, she was not afraid. The door opened, and squad leader Vexmar stepped inside. His weapon was ready, his armor was perfect, his training was complete. But when he saw the sleeping human, the young woman protecting him, something unexpected happened. The room was full of dreams made visible. Vexmar could see them floating in the air like soap bubbles. Dreams of his own childhood on distant Calithra. Dreams of the family he had left behind. Dreams of a future where his children would not have to be soldiers. I cannot. Double quotes. Vexmar lowered his weapon. For the first time in his military career, he could not follow orders. So Ra looked at the alien warrior with gentle eyes. "He is not your enemy," she said quietly. "He is dreaming of a better world for all of us." More Marines entered the room, but one by one they all stopped fighting. The dreams in the air touched their hearts and reminded them of who they used to be before war made them hard. In space, more impossible things were happening. Marine Nam Su Jin was fighting on a captured alien ship. The enemy force fields that should have stopped her felt like warm mist. The locked doors opened at her touch like they were welcoming an old friend. Her squad followed her through corridors that rearranged themselves to help the humans and confuse the aliens. What should have been a desperate battle became a strange dance where the humans always knew the right steps. Engineer Thick Rose watched his perfect machines fail in new ways every minute. Weapons jammed when they tried to target humans but worked fine for target practice. Shields failed when protecting against human attacks but held strong against space debris. "It is like our own ships are betraying us," he said in wonder. In his dream, Hyan Wu felt the changes spreading across the galaxy, like ripples in a pond. Every human who had been touched by his dreams was becoming more than they were before. And more importantly, every alien who encountered these transformed humans was remembering what they had lost in their centuries of conquest. But Hyan Wu was getting tired. Changing reality was the hardest work he had ever done. The numbers and shapes around him in the dream space were becoming harder to control. Some of them were turning dark and sharp. "I need to be careful," he told himself. "If I dream too hard, I might break something that cannot be fixed." But the battle was not over yet, and his people still needed him. So Hyan Wu gathered his strength and prepared to dream even bigger dreams. The war between logic and imagination was about to reach its peak. Hyan Wu's dreams were growing stronger, but they were also growing dangerous. In the space of light and numbers where his consciousness lived, dark cracks were beginning to appear. Each time he changed something in the real world, the dream, space paid a price. He could feel his power spreading across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. On distant worlds, humans who had never heard of New Bizin were suddenly discovering they could do impossible things. Factory worker Oh Tae-kyung on Mars found himself humming songs that turned metal into starship hulls. Farmer Lin Yoon-ji on Europa was growing crops that glowed with their own light and could feed both body and soul. But with each new miracle, the fabric of reality stretched a little thinner. Admiral Crixon stood on his command bridge and watched his mighty fleet fall apart piece by piece. His ships were still there, still firing, still following orders. But they were fighting an enemy that did not follow any rules he understood. "Status report," he demanded. "Sir," Commander Veltar said with a shaky voice, "we have lost contact with 47 boarding parties. Our weapons hit their targets, but caused no damage. Our shields protect us from everything except human weapons, which pass through like we are not even there. And our own people? Veltar hesitated. Sir, many of our soldiers are ... changing. They report strange dreams when they sleep. Dreams of peace, of cooperation, of things they say they have never thought about before. Crixon felt true fear. For the first time in his long military career. Are you telling me the humans are attacking our minds? I do not think it is an attack, sir. I think it is something else. Something we have no weapons against. On the planet below, Science Coordinator. Skmil was studying readings that made no sense. He had devoted his life to understanding how the universe worked. But the universe seemed to be rewriting its own rules. Look at this, he said to his assistant. The quantum fields around this planet are fluctuating in patterns I have never seen. It is as if reality itself is ... dreaming. His assistant, a young scientist named Pelrix, pointed at another screen. Sir, the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever the humans are doing, it is using more power than should exist. But where is the power coming from? That is what frightens me, sir. I think it is coming from consciousness itself. They have found a way to turn thoughts into energy, dreams into reality. Zekmil felt a chill run through his scientific mind. If that is true, then we are not fighting a weapon. We are fighting the power of imagination itself. In the research building, Dr. Bai Yongho watched Haiyan Wu's readings with growing alarm. The young man's brain activity was beyond anything human brains were supposed to handle. His body temperature was rising. His heart was beating too fast. He is pushing himself too hard, Dr. Bai said to Sora. If he keeps this up, his mind might burn itself out. Sora looked at the man she had worked with for 2 years. Haiyan Wu's face was peaceful in sleep, but she could see the strain around his eyes. Can we wake him up? If we do, everything he has created might collapse. Our ships will go back to being normal. Our people will lose their new abilities. The aliens will win. And if we do not wake him up? Dr. Bai was quiet for a long moment. He might die. And if his mind breaks while he is connected to all of this power, I do not know what might happen to reality itself. Deep in his dream, Haiyan Wu was beginning to understand the danger. The space around him was no longer just light and numbers. Dark storms were brewing in the corners of his vision. The very act of changing reality was causing reality to fight. Back. He tried to pull back, to use less power. But every time he relaxed his control, he could feel his people beginning to lose their new abilities. He could feel the alien weapons starting to work again. He could feel hope turning back into fear. I have to keep going, he told himself. But how much can I change before I break everything? The answer came from an unexpected source. In his dream, Haiyan Wu saw a figure approaching through the storm of light and darkness. It was not human. It was Kalithran, one of the aliens. But this one felt different. Who are you? Haiyan Wu asked. I am Science Coordinator Zekmil, the alien said. And I think I understand what you are doing. You are turning consciousness into a weapon. But consciousness was never meant to bear this much power alone. I have to save my people. By destroying the foundations of reality? Young dreamer, you are not just changing the battle. You are changing the rules that hold the universe together. If you push much harder, you will not save anyone. You will unmake everything. Haiyan Wu looked around at the storm brewing in his dream space. Zekmil was right. The dark cracks were spreading. The light was becoming unstable. The numbers that danced in the air were starting to scream. But if I stop, the aliens will kill everyone I love. What if there was another way? Zekmil asked. What if instead of fighting us, you could help us remember who we used to be? In the real world, The alien scientist felt something impossible happening. His consciousness was somehow connected to the human dreamer. Through that connection, he could feel what humans felt: love for their families, hope for their future, willingness to sacrifice everything for others. These were not emotions his people had forgotten existed. They had simply forgotten that other species could feel them too. "Admiral," Zeknul said over the communication system, "I request permission to go to the planet's surface." "Are you insane?" Crixon replied, "That place is warping reality itself." "Exactly, sir. And I think I know how to stop it without destroying ourselves or them." Meanwhile, the strain was beginning to show throughout human space. The miraculous abilities that Hyun Woo's dreams had given people were starting to flicker. Oh Tae-kyung found that his metal-shaping songs only worked half the time now. Lim Yoonji's glowing crops were beginning to dim. Captain Han Jae-sung felt his ship's impossible defenses wavering. "Engineering, why are we losing power?" "Sir, it is not our power that is failing. It is something else. Something that was protecting us is getting weaker." Han looked out at the alien fleet and saw that their weapons were starting to work normally again. Fear crept back into his heart. "All ships, prepare for standard defensive maneuvers. I think our miracle is ending." But on the alien ships, something else was happening. The Marines who had been touched by Hyun Woo's dreams were not going back to their old selves. Instead, they were talking to their officers about the things they had seen and felt. "Commander," Marine Colvin said to his squad leader, "when I was in that human building, I saw dreams. Dreams of my own family. I remembered why I became a soldier in the first place. To protect people, not to conquer them." Similar conversations were happening throughout the Calathron fleet. Soldiers were remembering their own children. Engineers were thinking about the beauty they used to create instead of the weapons they now built. Even some officers were beginning to question orders they had never questioned before. In his dream, Hyun Woo felt the cracks in reality spreading faster. The storm of darkness was growing stronger. Soon, it would consume everything he had built. "I have to choose," he realized. "I can keep fighting until I destroy everything, or I can find another way." The alien scientist Zekmil was still there in the dream with him. "There is another way, young dreamer. But it requires the hardest thing of all." "What?" "Trust. You have to trust that some of us want peace as much as you do." Hyun Woo looked at the alien in his dream and made a decision that would change everything. Instead of fighting harder, he would try something that no one expected. He would try to dream of understanding instead of victory. The storm in Hyun Woo's dream was getting worse. Dark lightning cracked across the space of light and numbers. The beautiful patterns that had once danced around him were breaking apart. Reality itself was screaming as he pushed it beyond its limits. But instead of fighting harder, Hyun Woo did something that surprised even himself. He sat down in the middle of the chaos and closed his eyes. "What are you doing?" asked Zikmo, the alien scientist who had somehow joined him in the dream space. "I am listening," Hyun Woo said quietly. "I have been so busy trying to change everything that I forgot to listen to what the universe is trying to tell me." As he sat still, the storm began to calm just a little. In the quiet moments between the thunder, Hyun Woo could hear something he had missed before. Voices, thousands of them, millions of them. They were the voices of everyone the war had touched. Human voices crying for their families. Alien voices mourning their lost friends. Children on both sides asking why the adults were fighting. Parents on both sides praying for their sons and daughters to come home safe. "They all sound the same," Hyun Woo whispered in wonder. "Fear sounds the same in every language. Love sounds the same in every species." Zekmil nodded. "This is what I came to tell you, young dreamer. We are not as different as our leaders want us to believe. In the real world, So Ray watched as Haiyan Wu's brain patterns began to change. The wild, dangerous spikes were smoothing out into something gentler, but somehow more powerful. What is he doing now? Doctor, Bay asked. I think he is dreaming of something new, Sora said. On the command bridge of the alien flagship, Admiral Crixon was preparing for one final attack. All ships, target the human vessels. If their miracle is failing, we end this now. But Science Coordinator Zekmil's voice came over the communication system. Admiral, wait. I am receiving strange readings from the planet's surface. Something is changing. What now? Sir, the human dreamer is not fighting us anymore. He is. I do not know how to explain this. He is dreaming about us, about all of us, together. Before Crixon could respond, something impossible began to happen. The space between the human and alien fleets started to shimmer like water. Images appeared. In the emptiness, not solid, but clear enough for everyone to see. The images showed the truth about the war that both sides had been fighting. They showed Calithran children playing games that looked just like human children's games. They showed human parents tucking their little ones into bed, while light years away, alien parents were doing the same thing. They showed artists on both sides creating beauty, scientists on both sides seeking truth, and ordinary people on both sides just trying to live good lives. Captain Han. Jisung stared at the images floating in space outside his ship. Are those real? His communications officer was listening to radio signals from the alien fleet. Sir, I am picking up transmissions from their ships. They are asking the same questions we are. On the alien ships, soldiers and officers watch the same images with growing amazement. Commander Veltar saw a human child drawing pictures of spaceships with crayons. The child looked exactly like his own daughter had at that age. How is this possible? He asked himself. In the research building, something wonderful and strange was happening. The alien Marines who had entered to capture Haiyan Wu were still there, but they were no longer soldiers. Squad leader Vexmar was sitting on the floor next to So-Ra, and they were talking quietly about their families. I have a daughter, Vexmar said in broken human language. She is 7 years old. She likes to, how do you say, paint pictures. My nephew is 6, So-Ra replied in equally broken Calithran. He likes to build things with blocks. Dr. Bay watched this impossible scene and shook his head in wonder. Humans and aliens, enemies just hours ago, were sharing stories like old friends. In his dream, Haiyan Wu was no longer alone with just Zekmil. The dream space was filling with other consciousnesses, human and alien alike. They came not as fighters, but as beings who were tired of fighting. Admiral Crixon found himself in the dream, without knowing how he got there. He appeared as he truly was beneath his armor and anger, an old soldier who had seen too much war and lost too many friends. Why are you showing me this? He asked Haiyan Wu. Because you need to see it, the human dreamer replied. We all need to see it. The war makes us forget that our enemies have hearts too. Captain Han Jae-sung was also in the dream now, along with dozens of other officers from both fleets. They stood in a circle in the space of light and numbers, and for the first time they saw each other not as enemies, but as people. I have been fighting your kind for 20 years, Crixon said to Han. I was taught that humans were cruel and selfish. I was taught that Calithrans were monsters who felt no love, Han replied. But you look like someone who has lost people he cared about. Many people. Too many people. So have I. Engineer Park Si-woo was in the dream too, standing next to alien engineer Thik Rose. Without words, they began to share their knowledge. Si-woo showed Thik Rose how humans built things with hope and determination. Thik Rose showed Si-woo how Calithrans created with precision and beauty. We could build amazing things together, Siwu said. Yes, Thekros agreed. Things neither of us could make alone. But the most important meeting was between two people who had never been soldiers at all. Teacher Yun Ha-na met alien teacher Nalvera in the dream space. Both had spent their lives helping children learn and grow. I teach the little ones about kindness, Hana said. As do I, Nalvera replied. But then we send them to fight each other when they grow up. This makes no sense. What if we taught them something different? What if we taught them to dream? Together instead of fight each other? In the real world, the impossible was becoming normal. Human and alien ships were no longer firing at each other. Instead, they were working together to help vessels that had been damaged in the fighting. Alien medical teams were treating wounded humans. Human engineers were helping repair alien ships. The change spread beyond the battle. On planets throughout human space, people found themselves thinking about their alien neighbors in new ways. On Calithron worlds, citizens began to question why they were fighting people who seemed so much like themselves. But the most amazing change was happening to Haiyan Wu himself. The dangerous storm in his dream space was calming down. The dark cracks were healing. The light was becoming steady and warm instead of wild and bright. I understand now, he said to everyone in the dream. I was trying to force change with power. But real change happens when hearts decide to open. Sora felt the shift in Haiyan Wu's brain patterns. They were still far beyond normal, but they were stable now. Safe. He is going to be okay, she told Dr. Bei. More than okay, the old scientist said. I think he has learned something that will change everything. 6 months later, Ambassador Song Mi-Ray stood in a great hall on the neutral world of Haven Station. Across from her stood Calithran diplomat Vel Karen. Between them was a document that would have been impossible to imagine during the war. The Treaty of Shared Dreams established the first alliance between humans and Calithrans, based not on fear or need, but on understanding. Both species would explore the galaxy together, learning from each other and teaching their children that differences were something to celebrate, not fight. I never thought I would see this day, Song Mi-Ray said as she signed the treaty. Nor I, Vel Karen replied. But then, none of us expected to meet a human who could dream new realities into existence. He dreamed the best reality of all, Song Mi-Ray said. He dreamed of peace. In the research building on New Bizan, Haiyan Wu finally woke up from his long sleep. Sora was there waiting for him, just as she had been every day for the past 6 months. How do you feel? She asked. Haiyan Wu sat up slowly and looked around. The room was full of flowers, gifts from both human and alien friends. Through the window, he could see the spaceport where Choi Ming-ho was working with Calithron engineers to build new kinds of ships. Ships designed for exploration and wonder instead of war. I feel like I had the most important dream of my life, he said. You did, Sora smiled. And the best part is, you made it come true. Outside, children were playing in the streets, human children and young Calithrans together, laughing in the universal language of joy. They were building toy spaceships and drawing pictures of distant worlds they might visit someday. The war was over. The real adventure was just beginning. And somewhere in the space between the stars, reality itself was dreaming new dreams of what the universe could become when different peoples chose to understand each other instead of fear each other. The human dreamer had taught everyone the most powerful lesson of all. The best weapon against hatred is not stronger hatred, but the simple courage to dream of something better.